Welcome back to Unmasked. I'm Ronnie Thompson.
And I'm Adam Lazowski. Keep listening to hear this week's question. Hey, I'm Adam.
And I'm Ronnie.
And today we're at GSU asking students, what, Ronnie?
We're asking people, how do you know when you can trust someone, or just what does trust mean to you? And we are joined by two special guests today. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Anna.
I'm Brianna.
And they're helping us get quotes. Thank you all.
Let's go. So what do you guys think about trust?
I feel like it's kind of instinctual and inherent for me. I let people prove themselves to me before I trust them or don't trust them. Kind of just comes with time and how much a person can be loyal to you, I guess.
When they tell you something in confidence, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. They trust you, so therefore you can trust them.
Give me an example.
An example? I don't know. Maybe they tell you some trauma they've experienced or something like that, and they're opening up to you. I feel like that shows that they're a trustworthy person.
I think that emotional vulnerability is crucial for trusting somebody, especially in any kind of relationship, but especially a romantic one.
I think it comes when you and your friend or whoever the other person is can respect each other's boundaries and begin to respect each other more as a person, but not just on the surface level, but more deeply.
Yeah, I guess when they're consistently there for you and just knowing that they're there for you no matter what and having that support system.
So I think that in order to trust somebody, you need to be open to having difficult conversations. I think you need to be an introspective person, or I think they need to be an introspective person too. They need to know themselves. They need to be, I guess you mentioned, they need to be willing to acknowledge their mistakes or their shortcomings, I guess. I guess difficult conversations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, I'd say one of my most important things for trust is consistency. If you're consistently showing up for me and proving that you want to get to know me and you proving that you care about me, then that's something that's really going to earn my trust.
Curiosity as well, goes very well with consistency. I want to get to know someone else, and I think curiosity, getting to know me, is also very important. And also, remaining open and open-minded through conflict. I think that goes well with getting to know other people and actually being able to take, your friendship, your relationship, whatever, to the next level and have an understanding with someone where you both know that you're not going to agree on everything. You probably shouldn't agree on everything. But you can still actually have vulnerability and open conversation and trust ultimately.
I'd say I can trust someone when they know me well enough to do something for me without me necessarily having to request that.
I think I can trust someone based on their actions and not their words, to be honest. Actions obviously speak louder than words, and once trust is built, my trust is pretty hard to take away, but once it's gone, it's never going to be built back up to 100%, in my opinion.
I think it's really important judging how people act, not just in your presence, but around the presence of others as well, and how they talk about you and how they talk about other people, and stay true to their words.
So I don't think you could really trust someone. I think trust is a reward-based thing. I think through their actions that they prove throughout friendships or relationships, their actions that they do, they gain trust of another person. Until they mess up, you really can't do anything about it.
Do you have an example of when someone mess up? What would be required for them to mess up in your experience?
Lying, 100%. That's the main thing for everyone. Yeah.
Dishonesty.
Yeah, dishonesty is the big thing.
So what are your thoughts on trust?
You never know when to trust someone. I think the best way to know when you can trust someone is when they match your energy. And because in my relationships and with my friendships, I always put a lot of effort in, and I know that when someone gives me that in return and they're there for me and we listen mutually to each other, I think that shows a lot of trust. And if there isn't that trust, then it's always one person's giving, the other person's taking, and there isn't that balance. So
for me, it's kind of hard to trust people right off the bat, but the biggest red flag when I know automatically I can never trust that person is if they're like talking poorly about their friends. For me, it's like the biggest thing, because then you know they're probably going to talk about you to their other friends too. So, yeah.
I think for me, trusting someone takes time. Like, I usually trust someone that I've known for a really long time, especially since we go to a big school and we meet people all the time. It's really hard to just like pour out my soul and like expose all my secrets or like talk deeply. So I really like to build a deep connection with someone before I trust them.
How do you know when you can trust someone or not trust someone?
Okay, so I'm a very trusting person. I do not ever think of like, oh, should I or should I not trust this person? I immediately give people my trust, which is a thing that I've been working on. But I know when not to trust somebody, which is once they break it off, you should never go back. You should never try. Well, okay, that's a little too much. Unless they prove themselves to you again, you should never give them that trust, because they will break it again. Period.
We just got quotes, and we're going to do our debrief right now and answer the question for ourselves. Ronnie, what did you think? What do you think personally? How do you think you can trust someone, or any variation of what you're thinking?
Yeah, so honestly, this episode gave us a lot of good answers for this question about when you can trust someone, when you know you can't trust someone, regaining trust, just a lot of different experiences surrounding trust. So I wanted to answer the question of how do you know when you can trust yourself, because that's also important. And I would say that in order to do that, you definitely have to cultivate a strong relationship with yourself first, which means spending a lot of time just with your own thoughts and analyzing them and being able to recognize the different patterns that present themselves in your life and the different patterns of behavior that you tend toward within your life, because then you'll know about reliability, which just means like, how are you going to act in a situation that's similar to previous situations you've been in? And then how are you going to act in a situation you've never been in before, based on who you are and what your values are and the way that you've acted in similar situations or in very different situations? Are you even going to place yourself in certain situations knowing what you don't want and do want out of life, and how you want to protect yourself and your peace and your integrity as a person? What kind of people are you going to surround yourself with? What kind of people are you going to choose to be in your circle based on who you are? So that's how you know you can trust yourself, is when you have a good hold on recognizing patterns in your life and recognizing your own behavior and taking accountability for it, because you can change and control it if you know what's going on. What do you think about the question, Adam?
Definitely deep, definitely complicated. We had a lot of students who were taking time to think about their answers beforehand, which is totally fair. And we've definitely taken some time to think about ours too. I think at the end of the day, for me, trust stems from dependability. If you can depend on somebody in any situation that they encounter or that you encounter together, then you can develop a sense of trust with that person, and it builds upon itself, right? It's not just one event that occurs and you immediately throw your arms in and are like, yeah, this is what I want. It takes time. You have to encounter many things. You have to go through many times of difficulty or times of ease, and both those things can encounter and present situations where you have to establish trust between two people, or even more. So I think at the end of the day, the people that I trust the most around me are the people I can depend on when I really need them. And yeah, I hope that everyone else has people that they can depend on in their lives, because I think it's super important, especially for myself too. So thanks for listening to this week's episode.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Unmasked. Tune in next week to hear
us again. Take care.